Kyogai gave birth to Inosuke at the age of 17 or 18, and was in an abusive relationship with Inosuke's father, as well as with her mother-in-law, who bullied her on a daily basis. One day, during one of his outbursts, she bit her husband's hand, grabbed Inosuke, then ran away from the abusive household, fleeing barefoot through the snow. Since she didn't have parents or any siblings to go to, she was running ahead until she reached the Paradise Faith cult, taking shelter as one of the worshippers of Doma, a leader of the cult. Her husband and his mother chased her there but were soon killed by Doma, who found them to be too noisy, abandoning their corpses in the mountains. She lived there happily with her son, until she suspected that the worshippers were being eaten by Doma. After accusing him of lying to his followers, she ran from the temple with Inosuke in her arms, and tried to go through the forest, but was trapped by a cliff. In her final moments, she apologized to Inosuke for failing to protect him, and tosses him into the river, as an attempt to save his life. She was ultimately killed and eaten by Doma, who claimed to have devoured her to the bone. After growing up in the mountains, Inosuke developed a sharp and incredibly sensitive sense of touch. His skin can even feel the small vibrations in the air. Inosuke incorporated this ability into his spatial awareness technique, where he uses his acute sense of touch to locate all the demons spread out across a giant mountain, and later used it to detect the location of the spider demon, Father. By using this ability, he can tell if anyone is looking at him, especially if they have any hostile intentions. He can even pinpoint the exact location they are looking at, which gives him an edge in combat. His sensitive skin also gave him an edge against Doma, as his sense of touch naturally steered him away from inhaling his dangerous ice powder. Due to growing up with boars in the mountains, Inosuke adopted their habits, and started incorporating it into his fighting styles. As a result, both his hand-to-hand combat style and swordsmanship style are very reminiscent of animals and beasts. Tanjiro Kamado noted that his unnatural fighting style, which resembles that of a four-legged beast, due to how his attacks come from an extremely low angle, while also being very ferocious and utilizing other unorthodox movements, thus making him very unpredictable and vicious. Inosuke is a very skilled and talented swordsman, as he was able to learn total concentration breathing on his own, and develop his very own breathing style, known as beast breathing, based on his own instincts and upbringing in the mountains by wild boars, and passed final selection to become a Demonslayer, all without formal training. Inosuke is more than capable of hunting and slaying demons on his own, as he easily killed the Horned Demon without any trouble. He has shown on multiple occasions to be able to hold his own and contribute in fights against upper-ranked demons of the 12 Kazuki, including upper rank 6 Kyojuro and Daki, as well as the much stronger upper rank 2 Doma. He is also incredibly gifted, possessing inhuman senses and superhuman flexibility, as well as natural aptitude in combat. Most impressively, Inosuke was able to fend off the Demon King, Muzan, along with his fellow comrades, boasting the same combat proficiency as even the Hashira, the strongest swordsman among all the demon slayers. Inosuke is an incredibly fast individual, as seen when he rushed through the Tsuzumi mansion at super speeds, and managed to evade the Horned Demon's attacks in the nick of time, displaying his honed reflexes and movement speed. A few months later, his speed and reflexes have further improved, to the point he could fend off Daki's sentient obi sash, while protecting the humans trapped inside them, and later managed to go toe-to-toe with the upper rank herself. With the help of Zenitsu and Tanjiro, Inosuke was able to run up to Daki and decapitate her before she could react. As further credence to his superhuman speed, Inosuke can keep up with upper rank 2 Doma with varying degrees of success, sometimes being able to land some hits on him, and steal Kano's katana away from him, without Doma noticing, despite the sword being next to him. Even while he was enervated and injured, Inosuke could still match Muzan and later Demon Tanjiro in speed. Due to enduring harsh training as a demon slayer, Inosuke has built up great endurance and stamina, which he displayed on multiple occasions. Inosuke, along with Zenitsu, were capable of keeping up with an awakened Daki, and lasted long enough to cut off her head despite suffering multiple injuries. Furthermore, Inosuke still played a pivotal role in the upper ranks' defeat, despite getting stabbed in the chest, while being inflicted with deadly poison. Later on, Inosuke lasted impressively long against the second strongest upper-rank demon and endured countless attacks from him. During his battle with Muzan, he suffered a multitude of minor and severe injuries, but still persisted in order to defeat the Demon King. and later on fend off demon Tanjiro. Inosuke is extremely flexible to the point where he can bend backwards so far that his head reaches between his feet. He later displays the ability to dislocate his arm to extend his reach9 and dislocate any of the joints in his body at will. This flexibility additionally extends to his internal organs, as he was able to shift his heart and avoid it being pierced in the fight against Daki and Gyotaro. As suggested by his incredibly toned muscles and physique, Inosuke possesses superhuman physical strength, being able to dual-wield 2 katanas as opposed to one, even swinging them at super speeds. He was able to slice up the parts of Enmu's body that had engulfed one of the train cabins. During the Hashira training arc, he even managed to move a boulder nearly twice his size with his bare hands. He was able to damage Doma's neck and throw his swords with such strength. The force on impact was enough to drive Kanal's sword through his neck. Inosuke's senses are honed to such extremes that he possesses a form of extrasensory perception that allows him to detect things outside the normal range of perception. Inosuke can sense how serious his opponents are, seen when we sensed that Daki's sash attacks were relaxing a little bit, which gave him an opening to attack, and how strong Mikasa and Kyojuro Rengoku were. He was also able to sense a person's malice and intent to kill even when they are outside his range of sight, which prevented him from getting killed by Gyotaro's scythe attack. Inosuke was also able to sense that Daki's obi had living people trapped inside it, which prevented him from accidentally harming them when fighting. He possesses an incredible and undaunted will and spirit, never faltering and remaining steadfast and courageous in the face of any foe, to the point where it endangers himself. His willpower was best displayed during his battle against Upper Rank 2 Doma, where despite sustaining dozens of injuries, he refused to give up and continued to fight the demon. Despite his overwhelming power, even in the face of the Demon King, Inosuke remained steadfast and never gave up. He was able to resist and survive the effect of Upper Rank 6's poison to a certain extent, although it was considered incredibly deadly, which suggests that he may have complete immunity to some poisonous substances. However, as stated by Aoi Kanzaki, this also means that none of Shinobu Kacho's medicines will work on him. So if he is exposed to a stronger poison than that of Gyotaro, or one that he has not developed a resistance to, it cannot be used as a remedy, and he is in greater danger of death. Unlike most demon slayers, Inosuke wields 2 Nichiren katanas. They are chipped with numerous gashes within the blade's edge, allowing the swords to rip and tear demonic flesh, rather than cause a clean slice, which he prefers. His dual blades are indigo gray in color. Unlike his fellow demon slayers, Inosuke doesn't use a sword sheath, but rather uses bandages to improve his grip. In addition, his blades don't have words engraved on it. Beast breathing is a breathing style that mimics beasts' wild animals, specifically their unpredictable, ferocious and wild nature, including movements, attacks and senses, and replicates it with the user's movements, techniques and abilities. Most, if not all, known techniques and forms are simple, straightforward yet wild, unpredictable and animalistic movements and attacks, although one of them utilizes the powerful sense of touch to replicate an animal's primal senses. Users of beast breathing also visualize themselves seemingly manifesting the fangs and claw slashes of a wild animal when unleashing its techniques. Since this breathing style is personally created and self-taught by Inosuke Hashibira, after living in the mountains and fighting for survival, it can be assumed that it can only be utilized by someone with dual Nichiren katanas and an extremely acute sense of touch. Beast breathing has 10 known techniques, with an improvisation technique created during Inosuke's fight with Doma. First Fang. Pierce the user stabs the target's neck with both blades. Second Fang. Slice the user unleashes a double slash with his 2 blades in an X-shaped cut. Third Fang. Devour the user releases simultaneous horizontal slashes towards the target's throat. Fourth Fang. Slice and dice the user delivers multiple diagonal double slashes with both swords. Fifth Fang. Crazy cutting the user slices everything in all directions. Sixth Fang. Palisade bite the user releases simultaneous slashes with 2 swords from both directions. Seventh Form. Spatial awareness the user utilizes their sense of touch to identify the position of enemies and their weaknesses by feeling small disturbances in the air. This technique was so strong that Inosuke Hashibira could sense all the demons spread out through a whole mountain. Eighth Fang. Explosive rush the user charges towards their opponent at blinding speeds while swinging both their swords. Ninth Fang. Extending bendy slash the user dislocates the joints of their arm to increase the range of their attack, and then unleashing a fast swinging forward strike. 10th Fang. Whirling fangs the user rapidly spins their swords in a circular motion, deflecting enemy attacks such as projectiles. Sudden throwing strike: the user throws both of their blades in a spinning motion at an enemy.